Hello, everyone, and welcome to the August 22nd, year of our Lord 2025 episode of the Zooch and Wilde podcast. And it is the first episode of the season. We have week zero approaching. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I mean, the main bulk of this show, it's one I wait for all year. It's the one you got to drop your nuts and let them hang because that graphic's going to live on social media forever. And that's the playoff prediction show. Zooch, how are you feeling about this show? How are you feeling about this season? It's tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, you wait and wait. It's not too bad. I would say up to about March when you got some college basketball on the weekends, that kind of thing. You still get the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, but those don't hit the same as
They don't.
just a full Saturday of
I always
football or like even I mean, and I won't lie, I don't watch, like, a ton of college basketball until late in the season after football's over, but you still have, like, Saturdays, like, a ton of games on Saturday to watch for basketball, and
sort of
then that kinda ends, so
Saturday is built for just sports watching. I've said it a million times before. It in society, it seems more accepting to just be a lazy vegetable on your couch all day and watch the NFL. The NFL has done a great job of convincing everyone that it's okay to be a lazy vegetable and watch TV all day. And Saturday is supposed to be the day that you're supposed to be active and do activities like, you know, if someone invites you to do anything all day this upcoming fall and they don't give you at least a 3-hour block to watch one of the watching windows, tell that person to politely frig off. That's what I would tell you. You have an official Zooch and Wild pass. Maybe we'll print something up for you. DM us, comment something, and we can get that official form out to you. But man, I'm so fired up, man, for college football. And week zero is always funny. You've said it in the past before. It's almost like a teaser in the fact that if this was like a slate in week one, it would be the shits. But it's I'm fired up. There's actually I find this week zero to be a little bit more intriguing in years past, and I was just want to get your thoughts on it.
I mean, that first game, that 10
Yeah,
or I guess it's 9 a.m. for you, 10 for me, you're gonna be on the outside looking in if you're one of the like, there's I would say both Kansas State and Iowa State have in the modern age playoff aspirations, and if whoever loses that, you gotta finish a season 10 and like win 10 of your next 11 to
no, exactly.
be
It's
in. So
it's really really interesting. It's a double ranked game, and these Ireland games. The last 2 years, we've really just been spoiled with just some of the funniest stuff ever. I mean, to Nebraska blowing it, to Northwestern, to the DJU experience last year. Like I think this Irish series, the Shamrock series, has really been a success for college football. Um, Besides that, you got some other good games. You got Fresno State versus Kansas. How's that going to look? Kansas seems to be revamped. Do we know if that game is in their new stadium?
I believe, yes, I believe
So
it is.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Another,
in that memorial. It's in Lawrence. So
you're going to have the Rainbow Warriors taking on Andrew Luck and Frank Reich's revamped Stanford squad. And what I would say is my most intriguing storyline is a game that I don't even know how I'm going to watch. It might be on local television. I might have to stream it from Rebel Girls Instagram live. But it's UNLV and how they're going to deal with the quarterback situation there. They got Alex Olorgy and Calandria. It's interesting to see. And can you tell me who they're playing, Zooch? It's a team and a coach that's very funny.
uh, is it close to home for
It's, it
us?
is it is very close to your current home.
Oh, it's got to be Idaho State then, because I
It
mean
is
maybe
Idaho.
Idaho higher. Cody
It is Idaho.
Hawkins.
Yes, it is Idaho State and Cody Hawkins. Cody Hawkins versus Dan Mullen. What a funny matchup that is. But that's what week zero is all about. It's shaking the rust off. Not only week zero is like preseason for college football fans, if that makes sense in a way. Shake the rust off. There's only one game per window. Ease yourself into it. I'm fired up.
Yeah, it's college football. It's a little teaser, and you just gotta wait until Thursday, which maybe we should even get into some of those because our next episode won't come out until after. We got to get into a couple of these matchups next Thursday.
Next Thursday. I mean, you want to just talk about them now? I mean, we can get
Yeah.
into. Do you want to talk about the BSU game? I mean, we have about 5 more minutes before we're gonna get into our playoff prediction show. But yeah,
Yep.
let's just go for it. Let's talk about now the Boise State versus USF game. And what's the second game on that? You've caught me.
So that's the big one. It's wild because it is at 3:30 Boise time on a Thursday.
It's at 2:30 West Coast time. I'm gonna look like an absolute psychopath at a bar watching this game. I mean, seriously, I got buddies up in Santa Monica who have already planned on calling in sick for the day. I mean, this is what we have to do to watch college football. This is what we love to do.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. Boise State should be favored. They're the odds-on Group of Five favorite. I really do like Alex Golesh as a coach. Like, I really, really like Alex Golesh. And I think he's a guy that's going to be in the Power Five coaching someday, which means he's the kind of guy that can inspire an inferior talent wise team for just one night and just shock the world. And I think that's what Boise State fans should be scared of, is just coming out flat and getting out coached.
Yeah, and I honestly I have USF in this game. And
Really?
there's a big I think he's been building there. It was dreadful, just absolutely dreadful before he got there. I don't necessarily think because USF still has to play Miami and Florida after this game. So they have a gauntlet of a out of conference schedule. So I
Yeah,
don't
that's three
I don't
ranked
think it's
teams.
a
Holy moly!
elimination game. I mean, maybe it could be, if that was their only two losses, Miami and Florida, and USF went 10-2 and won the AAC, you theoretically could make that they should be the I mean they probably would be honestly because they would have beaten Memphis. Do they play Tulane? If they beat Tulane in the American Championship game, yeah, they probably make it. But overarching point is I do think Boise State is going to be good, as they usually are. But there's a lot of questions going into that game for BSU. You have, like, replacing Ashton Genty isn't just replacing like a 1,500-yard back. I know a lot of people probably didn't, and maybe more people than normal watched BSU last year to see Genty. So they saw like that dude was a game changer. He wasn't like a game changer in terms of you could argue he was the best player in the entire nation. If he wasn't, if you want to say a Travis Hunter, I'm not going to argue that. I get both sides. But there is not an offensive player better than Genty last year. And on top of that, and we complained about it a few years from now, BSU still has not had wide receivers step up in a while.
I mean,
now.
a lot of people.
And they're replacing their off. Like, for those of you not in the BSU lore, Dirk Cutter has fixed a lot of things over the past 3 or 4 years here. And, losing your OC, losing your Heisman finalist and top 10 pick, still a lot of questions at receiver. I know that, like, through fall camp and stuff, guys have looked better. But there's still just a lot of question marks there. And USF isn't as bad as they have been. Like, they are improving, and I think in a couple of ways, and the Oregon game was one of them. Like, that was a really close game, but I think you still kind of saw that BSU is closer to the level of USF than it is of like a Penn State. And I think that became obvious in that Penn State game. Like, you saw where we couldn't really move the ball offensively when Genty was getting shut down. And granted, they've had a spring and a fall camp to improve on that, knowing he's going to be gone, so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, I think USF is probably pretty close to BSU in terms of overall
It'll be
talent
interesting to
level.
see. Yeah, I mean, it's I always wondered, like, I mean, you even go back to that Georgia Southern game. I mean, if it's not for Ashton Genty and a couple of turnovers in the first half that the defense forces, like the rest of the team kind I think I was talking to you earlier this week. It's like besides Genty and the O line, everyone kind of came out a little flat last year, if I'm being honest. Sire Gaines came out hot too. So it really was just running backs and O line were probably like the only people that I would grade like 11 out of 10s. Everyone else kind of played okay. And with these Thursday games, I just find it interesting. I I talking about Boise State for me, I try not to let my homerism get in the way. But sometimes that leads me to being like overly pessimistic, trying to like overcompensate. But the wide receivers truly does scare me. Like it as a Boise State fan, your the passing attack essentially rides on a guy who hasn't had more than 200 yards in a season. Now,
Right.
by all accounts, if he can play to his ability, he's an NFL receiver. We're talking about Chris Marshall. But this is a guy who's hasn't had over 200 yards in a season. You're talking about a passing attack whose number 2 passing weapon is a tight end. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you're trying to spread the ball around. You don't have Ashton Genty. Even if Sayer gains his first team All Mountain West, the play action passing game is still going to take a hit because you're not. I don't
Yeah,
think I can pretty confidently say Sayer Gaines isn't going to be the best player in the country this year. He
right.
might be the
And
best
that's my
back.
whole point. It's
He
like,
he could be great, but I don't think he is.
yeah, and like that's my whole point is you're not just it's not your traditional like, oh, like yeah, this running back was great in when we needed him to be. Like there were times last year where like you said, if Genty hadn't been on the team, BSU probably has 3 or 4 losses. And you saw at the end of the season, like he still had good games and stuff. And we kind of hinted at it last year going into the games, like later on games. Even he got tired towards the end of the season and wasn't having, 200-yard games and like things like that. Like he still was phenomenal, obviously, but like I don't know. I'm a little concerned about their schedule is tougher. Like App State, USF, Notre Dame. That's the main reason I don't have them in the playoff. Is I just think when something like last season happens and you have such a good season, you make the playoff, especially coming off of 4, 5, 6 lost seasons for 3 years. Fan bases are very. It's like a teeter totter, right? Like you have the and I can't even remember off the top of my head. I guess it was. Let me just see this real quick so I don't misspeak. So, like in 2022, right? That's what I thought. The Avalos' second year.
Avalos.
Taylor Taylor Green comes in. BSU ends up going 10-4, winning the Mountain West. You're like, oh, okay, like things are back to normal. But if you like really look down into it, you're like, like that was still a 4 loss team who like the Mountain West isn't the best. Or sorry, they lost the Mountain West championship that year to Fresno, but they went undefeated in the Mountain West regular season. And then in 2023, you have these high expectations, all that, and it just, you know, you get killed by Washington, and you kind of see, like we talked about it going into that game. Oh, like Washington's supposed to be really good. Like I think they might be a step ahead, and you saw that. And I think a little bit last year with the Oregon game being close, people jumped to like, oh, we're not even close. Oh yeah, we're right up here with, the Oregons and Ohio States, blah blah blah. And I don't necessarily know if that's the case yet. I still think BSU is a good program. They're still a playoff contender, all that stuff. But I still think there's a lot of things that need to be fixed. And I could be completely wrong, and they go, 11-1. I don't think they're going to beat Notre Dame. I'll just throw that out here right now. I don't think they're even close to being able to beat Notre Dame right now. But USF, App State, those are. I think they'll show closer to where if it was not a fluke that BSU made it to the playoff last year, but I think if they want to be how they were perceived a while back, then they need to win those games relatively easily. And
Yeah,
I think USF is
I mean it's a good.
a good school. I don't think it's a bad loss, any of that kind of stuff. I just think there are some, you know, people are overlooking, like hyping up guys and placing a lot on them that they shouldn't. Like you should not expect games to like identity as a generational player. I don't know if Zaire Gaines is like it's not your traditional replacement.
No, it's interesting to see, but that's a good segue. You don't have BSU in your playoff, so
I did not.
let's get right into the main bulk of the show, going through who we have in our playoff for the upcoming year. If you guys have been following along with our conference predictions, you might already know a couple of the teams that we both think are going to be in here. But I think how we're going to do this, Zooch, is we are going to just list off our teams in 4 team chunks. So we're going to go 4 through 9, 8 through 5, and then 12 through 9, 8 through 5, and then 4 through 1 at the end with discussions in between. And then at the end, we're going to say who we think is going to win the national championship, man. And just to be clear, we had both some great predictions last year. I mean, I had Clemson in, Zooch. I think, who did you have in that people were a little iffy on? I,
I
I
don't
don't know
even.
who.
It might have been SMU. I
It
don't
might have
even
been
remember.
SMU, or was it Tennessee? I think you were an
It might
early
have been
adopter of Tennessee. But yes, we had some bad ones last year too. We will not speak of
USC.
the FSU and USC choices. So, but we're gonna get after it again. Zooch, do you mind if I go first with my
Nope. Go
first
ahead.
four? I think are gonna make the playoffs. So at the number 12 seed, I have the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They're
Ooh, I
my
like that one.
ACC runner up. Haynes King, love what they're doing. I think their schedule is easy. I think this is a team that's probably going to get their ass kicked by Clemson twice, and I still think they're going to squeeze into that 12 because I think the SEC, for better or for worse, is going to cannibalize itself. At number 11, this is, I don't know if it's a bold prediction or not. I have Boise State at 11. Now, people are saying, Diego, they're the group of 5. How can you have them at 11? Boise State goes 11-1 with a not ass kicking loss to Notre Dame. They will probably be in the AP top 12 just as an at large. If the Boise State team last year didn't get the first round bye, Zooch, is it crazy for me to say that they're probably ranked above SMU? And if the committee had any fucking stones to them, they'd be above Clemson and maybe even Indiana too last year.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, and I know it's, gotten a little bit of, like, they say it's like the SEC causing it. Not, no, I don't. I was all for not having just because you win your conference, you being a top 4 seed. Like, I don't think BSU should have been the 3 seed last year. Like, that's a little bit over the top in terms of, to me, like, I think that I should have been in 12. I don't think they should have been in the 3. I think they should have been sandwiched in between those somewhere. So, like you said, like a 8, 9, maybe a 10.
Sweet.
Uh, so yeah. No, I don't think that's
At
crazy at all.
So that's why I got BSU at my number 11. At number 10, I'm going to have my Big 12 runner up, a team that I'm high on this year. This is my funky team. We're going to stay in Texas, kind of have an SMU esque run. I got the TCU Horned Frogs, the Fighting Sunny Dykes, your good friend Zooch, your best friend Sunny Dykes. And I'm really high on Josh Hoover, man. I think Josh Hoover is the real deal. I could see Josh Hoover. He just reminds me. He reminds me so much of everyone's high on John Mateer, right? Everyone in the media is high on John Mateer. When I watch Josh Hoover, He plays like John Mateer. He has very John Mateer-esque skill set. TCU's had top 3 recruiting classes in the Big 12 and top 5 transfer portal classes in the Big 12 dating back 3 or 4 years now since that national championship Cinderella run. I think this is a year that they could irk out a Big 12 loss and sneak in, to be honest. And then at my number 9, this is probably the pick where if you put a gun to my head, I don't feel confident about it, but just because of how I think the SEC is going to shake out and what my predictions are, and just because of fate, right? I have Ole Miss at number 9. I just it's and that's purely gut instincts. I just would find it so funny that just a team that's talent wise inferior than last year's team. Schedule didn't get any easier. It's the same schedule that they had last year. Maybe a little bit. I know they don't play Bama, but I like Solomon. I like Kiffin. Sometimes it's better, it's the what do we call it? The Gundy effect. Sometimes it's better to be underestimated. I'll just say that. But I had Ole Miss as my SEC runner-up for the people who listen to the conference previews. So yeah, I think they're going to be at number 8, but it's going to be funny to me how other things are going to go because as you're going to see later, maybe a non-SEC runner-up will be ranked higher than them. Little TBD for later in the show.
Alrighty. Well, I guess it's my turn. So at number 12, I have the Tulane Green Wave. It's my number 12. Not a horrible out of conference slate. They do get Ole Miss, which I think they'll lose that game in Oxford. But Northwestern, South Alabama, Duke, Ole Miss, Tulsa, East Carolina, Army, UTSA, Memphis, FAU, Temple, Charlotte. 10-2 with one conference loss. They're in the ACC championship game. I honestly think they could be 11-1. I'm pretty high on the Green Wave. My number 11, this one scares me a little bit. There's a couple in here that scares me. This one probably scares me the most. I have USC as my 11 seed. I still am a believer in USC. I seriously think last year, I know I looked like an idiot last year, but they had like 5 losses by like 4 points.
And they may or may not have had all-time Diego Wilde wrong guy, Miller Moss at quarterback.
They could have they were a frustrating team to watch. Beat LSU. I'm like, oh, this pick is looking fantastic right now after beating LSU, and then they shit the bed. My number 10 team going back to the Big Ten, the new Big Ten, Oregon. Oregon, kind of, and it was weird last year because I know they got killed by Ohio State in the playoff, but they were undefeated and kind of like not talked about all that much. Like going into the end of the season, it was odd with them last year. And number 9, we have the exact same team. I have Ole Miss as my 9 seed. And a lot of these, I'll just get out in front and say, in my head when I put this together, I had these teams at 10-2, and the difference between 10-2 and 9-3 is so small. Like it is a play or two most of the time. Like so,
yeah.
I won't be mad at any of these picks if they end up 9-3. I'll be like, oh, okay, like you were a game away. Like, and a 10-2 Big 12 or 10-2 Big 10 or SEC team is getting in the playoff. You're just not going to convince me that it's not happening.
I'm so intrigued by that Tulane pick. Before we move on, I want to ask, so you think that out of all the group of 5 teams, so there's going to be a bunch of 10-2 teams. So you think Boise State could be 10-2, Tulane can be 10-2, maybe Liberty is 10-2, and you think just from kind of the wins that they've been able to stack up, that you think Tulane will be the highest ranked out of all those?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it will have to do with when it happens, like if, like, let's say Tulane loses early on to Ole Miss, right? Okay. If they lose, that game is in like a month from today. It's on the 20th. A loss at Ole Miss, you went out from there. I mean, 11-1 is a little different than 10-2, but you went out from there, and it like and BSU loses late in the season. That's just how it works. Is like
Mhm.
you're just gonna drop behind one of those teams. Fair or not, that's how the world works. I think it is kind of fair. Like I understand, and neither team really has a big thing to stand on. It's not like you're comparing like BSU is in the ACC or SEC and Tulane is in Conference USA. They're both in conferences that 75% of the teams are absolutely god awful. If we're being like completely honest,
Hey,
so
you're not riding with the East Carolina Pirates?
I am not. I do like where they're headed, but I'm not riding with them this year.
I don't think I'd ride with them. It's always strange to me why ECU's not better. Sorry to go off on a tangent, but their stadium's massive. They're kind of in like the deep south, like football they should care about. I mean, you could tell me more since you kind of grew up closer to there if you knew anything. Are they just one of those schools like kind of like for Californians like Arizona or even historically Arizona State where it's just such a party school that like they party too much to have a good football team because they just that's where their support goes because they're just partying.
I think it's a combination of. I think it's that partially that, but also they're in basketball states. Like when you have North Carolina and Duke, and to an extent NC State there, and you're surrounded. It's hard to describe. Like they're just like a not even like a tier two. Like I would put like NC State and like Virginia on tier two. East Carolina's like tier
Tier four.
three. Yeah, like there's a bunch of there's just a ton of schools in and around like like Clemson's there, South Carolina's there, North Carolina,
Sure.
Duke, Wake Forest. Like there's a bunch of schools there, and then you got ECU who just treaders along.
Treaders, I like that word. So now I'm gonna run through my 8 to 5 playoffs right in the middle. At number 8, I went back and forth with this because I didn't know what I wanted to do. But after taking a look at the back half of their schedule, I have the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame as my number 8 seed. Uh, I mean, the decision just came out. Carr is going to be the starting quarterback. But I think this Notre Dame team is going to be like a classic old school playoff team where it's like you're not sure if the Carr is probably going to end up being like some fourth rate Fox announcer who calls like the Oregon State New Mexico game in like 8 years, right? But I think that team's still well rounded. They have on paper the best back in the country. Love. O line's still going to be strong. Defense might take a step down, but they're still loaded all over the place at defense. And like I said, a big part of this was just their back half of their schedule was just it seemed really easy that they could almost drop 2 games in their first 6 and then win out and get in or have a chance of getting in.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, do you even need like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head who the last superstar QB to win the national title.
Burrow, or if you count Mac
Yeah,
Jones since he was a Heisman finalist.
Burrow. We're not counting. For last year, you didn't have it. Stetson Bennett won it the previous couple years. So, or who won in between? Oh, was it? Who won the? Oh my God, I'm blanking. Last year
McCarthy.
was Ohio State.
I
McCarthy.
guess
Okay, yeah, you
is
could
McCarthy
consider
a
him.
superstar? No, he's not a superstar. He was a first round talent QB, but not like sorry to the McCarthy fanboys out there. But and this is going to make him even more upset because at number 7 in my playoff prediction, Ohio State's going to run it back and make the playoffs again at number 7. I really like this guy Julian Sayin, and I hate that I'm giving props to Ohio State quarterbacks, but this is a guy out of Carlsbad High School. Man, have you seen this guy's high school tape? He was one of the best young recruits coming out of high school. I think they made the right decision there at quarterback. I think he can honestly talent-wise get close to Will Howard's level right now. Now, will the leadership come in? How will that experience come in? That's where I'm worried
They're
about.
having a lot of big changes too. New OC, new DC.
Yep. No, and that's
And
kinda why I
anger
have him at.
management as the head coach still.
Yeah, I know they have Mr. Beard Dye himself, but that's kinda why I have him as a 7, because I don't have them in the Big Ten championship game again, man, and
I don't
I
either.
think it's
So
I think it's still gonna eat them alive because I have them missing the Big Ten championship game again. Um, because one of the teams I have in it, if I can pull up my list, is the team that's gonna be the runner-up in the Big Ten, and that is going to be the Oregon Ducks. I think Oregon's gonna run it back again. Dante Moore, I think, while he won't be as efficient as a Bo Nix or maybe even a Dylan Gabriel, but I think this is going to be like, the old school Duck teams have passed. Maybe not. Oh my God, who was that one guy in 2014 that was just the shits at quarterback for the Ducks? The Canadian guy, Hargraves or something. He
oh,
came from Eastern
yeah,
Washington.
they had that weird. Yeah, they had him, and then the random white guy that I can't think of his name either off the top of my head, but it does bring up memories.
So I think Dante Moore is going to be fine. Time will tell to see whether that year of sitting really did help because man, last time we watched him at UCLA, he looked like a goldfish swimming in the Pacific Ocean, man. But they retool it again. They got studs all over the field. Had to kick off that one wide receiver for fighting. Not great, Dan Lanning. Not great, but you had to make the call. Had to make the right call. But I got Oregon as my 6. Moving on to the number 5 team I have, and who's going to be my SEC runner-up is going to be the Texas Longhorns. I believe in Arch Manning, man. I it, it I when I was doing the SEC, I flipped back and forth between them and my eventual winner, who's going to be in the top 4. But I really do like Texas. Sark has made me eat so much crow over the years, and I still joke about him. I still joke about running up a $1,200 tab at the waterfront hotel in Long Beach. I'll still joke about him going off on the guy in the Sugar Bowl, like who was just doing his job, telling him to hold back for a sec while they did the pregame show.
The
I'll
intern.
yeah. I'll make fun of Sark for a lot of things. One thing I won't make fun of Sark is he's a damn good football coach, and Tina really knows how to run that program and build culture. So I got Texas. That's my 5 Zooch. What does the bulk of your middle look like?
So my middle starts with the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll see how. I think it's good for them that Gunnar Stockton got a little bit of playing time at the end of last year in some big time games. He didn't look as. There's a lot of problems with Georgia last year, so he didn't look fantastic. I still think that playing time was good. 7, I have the Michigan Wolverines.
Whoa!
Back to the playoffs. 6, here I've been high on them. We did get some devastating news injury out of their fall camp, but I have Texas Tech at number 6. And then number 5, I have Notre Dame.
So you have Notre Dame up to 5. So do you think Notre Dame is a undefeated team, a one-loss team?
I think in the most I'll have one. I'm very high on Notre Dame
So who
this
do you
year. I
who do you
think
think they drop that game to? Do you think is it SC? I mean, that would if Notre
it.
Dame won every game but the SC game, that would just be rubbing your hands perfect for your playoff prediction.
Yeah, and they're just to me they're just firing on all cylinders. And they've had these high rankings before, and it not gone that well for them. But I mean, I don't think it'll be Miami. A&M will be tough. The Arkansas game is shouldn't be tough, but they'll make that tough for absolutely no reason. I think it could. I would say USC or A&M most
That
likely. Like I don't.
that that Arkansas game is going to be a game where, like, Arkansas is going to be up 2 with like 3.5 minutes left, and it's going to be like 3rd and 7, and it's going to be like an incomplete pass over the middle. But Arkansas is going to have like a roughing the passer or like a pass interference, and they're going to cut to Sam Pittman on the sideline, and he's either going to be screaming at a ref or just have the dumbest look on his face of all time. Like that's how that game's going to go. They're going to show some hog fan in the crowd with a girl who is 50 times out of his league because I don't know how the Hog fans do it. BCG will be just rage tweeting. I can already envision how that game's going in my head.
Yeah, I mean, this to me, this is the toughest part is this middle because you're just kind of in a way, like you said, picking who's going to beat each other in the regular season for how this part of it lays out. It's not really your, I guess, for maybe 5 or 6, you could say it's whoever loses your championship game. But like for the most part, your 8 through 12 aren't going to be, especially Big Ten, SEC, like
Mhm.
those whoever loses that is then dropping that far down. So yeah, we have a lot of similarities. And did you?
Yeah, no, those. Sorry, go for it.
Yeah, we each our group of 5 was different, but we each had Oregon, Ole Miss, uh,
Notre Dame,
Notre
Ohio
Dame.
State.
I
We
actually
are
don't have Ohio State in mine this year.
really why?
Mm.
Or do you think
I
they lose to Michigan and lose another game?
I think they have the Texas. I think Texas will beat them. I think Michigan is
And they're
going to
13
beat
looking
them.
in pissed off.
And yeah, I just think they might be that. You know, they might be the team out. It's not that they're going to be bad. I think they're going to be. They're Ohio State. They're always pretty good, but they still get Penn State. They get Illinois. I think they could have a third loss on there, personally.
We will see. I mean, dang. I mean, it would be so crazy if Ohio State stinks it up again this year because it could. Ryan Day is in a spot now with a national championship where, I mean, does a national
What seed were
champion?
they? 10 last year?
No, because they got a home game. I think they were 7 or 9 or 8.
7. Yeah. Maybe out of Tennessee, I guess. I mean, they were lucky to have the 12 team last year, and they were honestly, I think they were pretty lucky that Ole Miss shit the bed against Florida or Kentucky, whichever one you want to say, and Alabama did against uh,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. And that's
Yeah,
how it plays out sometimes. They were 10-2. You get in at 10-2. Tennessee got in at 10-2, and they probably weren't better than. I think they did beat Alabama last year, but they probably weren't. Ole Miss would be favored against Tennessee last year,
Tennessee.
but that's how
No,
the
it's
cookie
crazy.
crumbles. So,
It is how it crumbles. It is so interesting. We've talked about in the past. Like, I would just love a 12-team playoff and like, in like 2009 with like those Mark Sanchez USC teams and those Boise
oh my god,
State teams and like, oh my gosh, like what that would have like done because that was the BCS era where like one hiccup dropped you like 15 slots.
shit! The Boise State lost to a 11-1 Nevada team and went from going to the Rose Bowl to the Nico Las Vegas Bowl. You want to talk
Freaking
about
cap.
opt out? I'll be like, all right, I'm out of here.
There still are like I do love like the 5 Boise State fans that still will die on the hill that the kick was good because Nevada was using high school goalposts.
You lost. It was an unfortunate set of circumstances. All I will say about that game is thank God Twitter was not big when that happened because
Kyle
Kyle
Brosman
Brotz,
got old school death threats. Like someone like they were mailing it to like his apartment.
like Facebook, you should kill yourself. Like, let's calm
I
down,
do.
fellas.
Hey, and I do want to say death threats are never okay. I do, though, the small group of Boise State fans who, anytime someone was like, will post like, just ran into Kyle Brotzman, solid guy, man, all time Boise State score. Someone will be comment, be like, never forgive him. It's just, and those guys will always have like the American flag picture or like the Trump getting shot picture as their profile pic. It's just,
Well, he honestly his and I know this is mean to say, but Dan Goodell, who missed a kick against TCU the next year at home, probably is like, thank God Kyle Brotzman exists because no one
yeah,
even talks about his kick, him missing that kick,
yeah,
because
that kept him
Kyle
at the Rose
Brotzman
Bowl too.
missed 2. And to be fair, it made Kyle Brossman's worse that Kellen Moore threw like the longest pass of his. It was like an incredible catch.
And it
Like,
was a 25-yarder or something like that.
yeah. And then he misses in overtime. He's just sitting there like this. I'm
No,
like,
yeah,
oh god.
the chin strap yank down.
And Joe Tessa, I'll always remember Joe Tessitore being like, "This is turning into a nightmare for Boise State." Yeah, you think? Go back to boxing, Joe.
Oh my gosh. That is all time, man. That is just you have to find humor in the pain. But let's move on to our top four teams. So this is pretty much the four teams that we have winning the conference. At number four, I have the Big 12 champ that I think is going to win it is the Utah State Utes. Love Whittingham, love the Fano brothers, and I think by the end of the year, America's going to know about Devon Dampier. I really do. I am so high on this guy, man. I mean, we both watched him at New Mexico last year ball out. I think he's ready to take that to a national stage, and they don't have the hardest schedule. I mean, it's tough, but it's not anything crazy. At number three, I have the SEC champ, which is going to be crazy, the Georgia Bulldogs. Do I think they're going to be the third best team in the country? Maybe they're talent wise the best team in the country. But I think with the way the schedule is going to work out, I think they'll probably drop a game. They have the most chance of dropping a game out of the next two teams I'm going to play. So or the next two teams I'm going to say. So I have Georgia at number three. Kirby's going to get those dogs back and rolling. At number two,
Which,
I have
sorry to interrupt you. Uh the people who keep commenting, what Georgia player was it of that video of the food people like just eating in the car runs through the restaurant? That's not.
we have gotten some early lists. And trust me, next week when we get back to our weekly recording, there's going to be some lists. In fact, there's a Boise State list. You know what? In fact, I'll say it right now. You know what? I just have to get ahead of this because I'm sorry. At Jason Logan, as you know, or for those who don't know, there was a former Boise State wide receiver who got into some trouble with the law over the weekend. And this Boise State receiver uh, happened to be from the Boise area. You know, just because I'm a Boise State, I mean, it was Austin Bolt got arrested, and James Logan replied to the tweet of Sean Goodwin, great Broncos beat reporter, kind of stating it and kind of
Also
breaking the
traitor.
news. Yeah, traitors, yes. People who I know this is the Boise State show. It's the most you're ever going to hear us talk about Boise State in a show because we want to make sure we keep it, you know, wide range of voices and keep our biases out. If you're a Boise State fan, follow the Bronco Nation Facebook page. You will not regret it. Please add yourself to that. But this guy, Jason Logan, replies to Sean Goodwin, says, "You can take the kid out of Bora, but you can't take the Bora out of the kid." Jail.
Yes. 100%. It is, I mean, someone needs to talk to Austin Bolt. I feel bad.
I do too, man. It's
It's been a
I still
rough
think
go
it's
for him.
yeah, I think it's still somewhat salvageable at this point. You just hope he's got the right guys around him. And you just honestly you hope someone from the football team reaches out. I think that could be the difference, whether it's a position coach or a player, just being like, "Hey dude, like if you need to talk, let me know."
If he
But I
needs to
have
wash away all of his sins, we have a coach on the team who does baptism. So
we do.
just meet him at the Boise River.
That's the pro of that, SD. I mean, he was as SD loves baptism so much, he was baptisming the guys in their hurricane prep practice earlier this week. So
Don't get me started.
sorry, sorry, SD. You're a great coach, man. You're a great coach, but even we have to poke fun at some goofy things sometimes. At my number two seed, I do have the Clemson Tigers, though. I mean, Dabo Sweeney is pretty much just Mega Danielson at this point. I think Cade Klubnik's going to be a Heisman finalist. They are this year. Their schedule's easy. If they can take care of business versus LSU, there's a real chance that they can go undefeated this year. And I'm being completely serious. If they take care of business week 1 versus LSU, they can go undefeated and run the table, Zooch. And at my number 1 team, I can't believe I'm saying this, man. I have Penn State. I think
Ooh,
this is finally the year that Penn State wins the Big Ten. I I don't know why. I don't want them to, but I think Penn State's the number 1 overall seed this year. Drew Aller played better than I thought he did last year. You're only going to think he's going to improve. Singleton, the running back, is looking to be great again this year. They supposedly fixed a wide receiver problem with transfers. That defense is always going to be loaded because it's Penn State. I I just it's taking me every ounce to not want to pick them, but the way I see the Big Ten shaking out, I see them as the Big Ten champ, and I think the Big Ten champ gets the 1 seed this year.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm not in total disagreement with you. I'll just go through mine. I have Texas as number 4. I think you did number 1. Penn State was your number 1. Okay. Texas is my 4. Penn State is my 3. Clemson is my 2. Alabama is my 1.
So you
So
have
honestly,
two SEC.
yeah, I just think I think a big part of it is going to come, and like I said, it's how stuff shakes out. But if Texas, like let's say Texas beats Ohio State, right,
Mhm,
and loses, like say Ohio State gets in, even if Ohio State won the Big Ten, how do you put them above Texas if Texas beats them in the horseshoe?
mhm.
I don't know how you do that. I think Alabama's going to win the SEC. I'm with you on Clemson. I think they definitely could go undefeated, and even with like Penn State, like if they can, I think they are going to be a top team if they can get 11 and like I just need to see that they can go 11-1. And I know they went deeper in the playoffs last year. I still worry a little bit, like, oh, okay, they beat SMU and Boise State, and then played Notre Dame. It was a close game. Also, your receivers didn't have a single catch the whole game. Like it was kind of like when I look at them, they still lost last year to Ohio State, Notre Dame, Oregon. The best teams they played. And
Mhm.
Penn State still lost to all those 3 teams despite making the Final Four. So, like, did they get that hump off their back? Like,
Maybe
maybe.
not.
Like, I think, yeah, like, they're the whole thing this year, though, to me, now that we've gotten all of them out, is it's hard to predict. Like, there's a lot
So
of,
hard.
you know, interesting case. Like, I honestly think I would take probably, like, I don't know if Texas Tech or US. I'll keep USC in there. I don't know if Texas Tech or Tulane could win the national title, but if you told me anyone else we had, I'll take BSU out of yours. I,
You could
any of
take
those
okay.
teams,
I love my Georgia Tech and TCU
Georgia
picks
Tech.
because I think they're going to
Oh,
sneak in, but you can take those 2 teams out too.
yeah, and like it's I wouldn't be like if I'll just go through mine: Alabama, Clemson, Penn State, Texas, Notre Dame, Michigan, Georgia, Ole Miss, Oregon. If you told me any of those teams, that light did not help at all. Won the national championship.
I think you're
There
the
we go.
2012 Super Bowl.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't be shocked. Like I know some things would have to go right, but all of those teams have talented. It's different now. All those teams have talented players, like all around. Like and even teams that we didn't have, like people are super high on LSU. I wouldn't be shocked if they won the national
LSU
title.
was a
Like
team that was tough to keep out for me. I was going back and forth with honestly either bumping uh, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, or either the Big 12 or the ACC runner-up out for LSU. I think LSU is going to be my 13 looking in team that's like upset. Like
yeah,
I could see LSU kicking one of the teams I picked out.
look, if you look at them, like, and like they just like that Clemson game is just so tough. Like if they win that one, then their playoff like percentage to make the playoff has to just shoot up. But if like if they don't win that one, then basically you can only drop two or one of one, not two, of Florida, Ole Miss, South Carolina, A&M, Alabama, and Oklahoma. Like that's kind of what I
Yeah,
looked
we
at and
didn't
saw
even
them. I'm like,
mention Oklahoma. We didn't even mention Oklahoma, man.
no, and
The
and
SEC this year is going to be a buzzsaw.
yeah, it's and I feel like we're like trying to like make excuses for if like teams we picked aren't in there, but that's just how I feel about it. Like I don't, you know, I think you might have a two-loss team as like the two and three seed. I think the one seed probably will have one loss, but I mean, you never know. Like it could be a wild year.
It could, and we will see. Just to end the show, Zooch, do you have your tentative natty pick?
I
I have my
do.
tentative natty pick.
I'm
Call
going,
the
and
plays.
I hope they don't make me look stupid. I am going with Notre Dame as my national champion.
That's fair. Little Marcus Freeman action, just continuing to improve. I'll tell you what, man. If Notre Dame wins it this year, you've been saying this for a year and a half now, and I think Notre Dame fans don't want to hear it or won't believe it. There's going to be some high profile NFL teams that will offer him the head
Oh
coaching job
God, it's gonna
in the
be.
NFL if he can win a
eh,
natty.
There might be some close to home in Chicago and Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, oh my gosh. You're being Mike Florio right now. Fan fictions, as PPAT says.
Yeah, there's a lot. I
I
mean, Pittsburgh maybe.
Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Don't
Yes,
he's an Ohio guy.
that's what I'm saying. Is
Dude,
there's a lot
oh,
of. I think there's going to be a lot of movement in the NFL this year, and you might see. I mean, if there's nothing you can do bigger in college football than win a national title at Notre Dame, there just isn't. Like it is a national brand. They've been, and it's kind of happened for some other teams, recently. Like Georgia finally got theirs, Michigan finally got theirs. It had even been a while since Alabama had won. Ohio State's been pretty consistent throughout the 2000s. Like Jim Tressel won, Urban Meyer won. But you've seen like different guys, and the Yankees are blowing another game. Shocking. You've seen different guys come into these schools that have just been yearning and yearning for years for a national championship, and it just takes the right guy. 99% of hires don't work out, and Georgia got one that worked out. Clemson did. They were waiting forever for one. Michigan did. So we'll see. Overall, I'm excited for the season. It means I will not have to watch the fucking New York Yankees blow leads every single night.
oh
Literally
shit.
every single night. Devin Williams, please just go back to Milwaukee. You're not wanted here
That's
anymore. Uh
that's fair,
so
man.
yeah, we'll see.
But I
I'm excited.
yeah,
Every week, just like, and that week
I
one slate is so sick.
oh, it's great. Like I said, there will be I will be an hour and a half to 2 hours in the dark for a wedding that I'm very excited for. I am. But those guys already know that phone with YouTube TV is being busted out, and I'm not talking to anyone on the car ride there because I'm gonna be watching the games. But my national championship winner, plain and simple, it might be a chalk pick. It's gonna be the Georgia Bulldogs. I think they do it. Uh, I think they're just kind of sneaky this year, man. Kirby, it's hard to pick against Kirby. Like, it really is, and I don't see. It's tough for me to believe in teams more than I believe in the consistency of Georgia. So I kind of
Yeah,
use math on this where it's like, I know Georgia is going to be, it is the most consistent bet to be in the mix for a national championship. So in a year, I don't know. I'm going to go with my Diego Wild brain math, whether it's good or not. We'll see. You know, I really went back and forth with Texas. I did. I didn't go back and forth with Penn State, to be honest. I think they're going to lose in the playoff. I went back and forth with Clemson. I went back and stayed with Ohio State again. But like 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 I said, I can see my 1 through 9 winning. Honestly, I mean, shit. I'm we're at the point now where I'm just so ready for football to be back. I am so fired up for tomorrow. It's going to be great. Also, if anyone can comment or text me how I can watch the UNLV game, please do, because I don't think it's even on TV. Someone can fact check me on that, but I don't think it is. But yeah, I'm fired up. Make sure everyone's got the good cup of coffee, some friends around. Watch these games. Maybe you don't got to be watch them as hard because it's week 0, but just be
Yep.
ready because it's the season's upon us. We're going to be going to our weekly episodes, our weekly shorter episodes instead of our every other week kind of long conference episodes that we've been doing up until this point. We'll be dropping weekly, probably 30 to 40-minute shows. 45. We like to talk a lot, but yeah, I'm fired up. This is the 3rd year that we're going to be doing this, man. I was talking to Zooch off camera. We've through moving to different apartments, to different cities, to different parts of the state, to getting married, to just everything in between, to new jobs. Like, it's our 3rd year, and I'm fired up. It's gotten better and better every year, man.
Yep, it has. And it's gonna be this is gonna be the best year yet. You got games tomorrow. We'll be back next week to preview our week 1 predictions, maybe talk a little bit about some of the funny stuff that happened on week 0.
Oh,
I feel bad that you're at a wedding because
for
my
week
wife is going to be out of town that whole weekend, so I have the house to myself, TV to
that
myself.
that has YouTube quad box, entire pot of coffee, drink it all so much, hang out with the dogs until about 3 o'clock until someone texts, hey, we need to move locations because my eyes are starting to hurt. We have to go to a bar or restaurant to watch like the Texas Ohio State game.
Yeah, I gotta stand do the hunch over on the bar table and
Yeah.
be
Okay.
laughing at
Before
whoever.
but before we end the show, I have to ask because I've been asking around. I know a lot of our bases in Boise. Um, where is the best? I just want quick rapid fire. Best place to watch college football, or give me 3 locations
I would say
all
end
day
zone
watching.
is all day.
That's what I mean. Or like 4+ hours. So like 2 windows of games.
I would put end zone up there because you do have pie hole right next to it, so you can grab some grub right there if you really need it. And you have the James, you can get to go food. I would say that's up there. Number 2, oh my god, what is that place? It's downtown and I can never remember the name of it. I know exactly.
The Tap House.
Yes, the Tap House. Tap House is good. Good watching.
I've heard Tap House is a good spot.
And then what would I put as 3?
I'll hit you with an underrated spot. I think it's super slept on for watching college football. I've done it many times. I've done it with you. I think Perea has one of the most underrated setups in all of Boise. I
Perea
think
does, yeah.
Perea has one of the most underrated football watching setups in all of Boise. I love the Silly Birch setup. The only thing is there's no food at Silly Birch. So
You gotta have food for 2 windows.
that's what I mean. So Silly Birch is great for like a window. You got to get food and come back, sort of deal. But yeah, I've never been to Tap House. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week, week 1. Let's get it going.